Hello and welcome to Positive Recovery with Corinna, being made for www.sobertownpodcast.com. It is your one-stop sobriety shop with all things sobriety, well, all things addiction actually, and all things recovery. So go and check it out. It's so much more than just podcasts. There's lots and lots on there. And the good news is it's all for free. Anyway, I'm going to dig into my cookie jar with your suggestions of topics. Have a little root around and see what I pull out. Thank you, CoachA, for this. This is entitlement mindset in addiction and self-pity. Are both the barriers to recovery and emotional sobriety. Yes, they are. Oh, tough topics actually. I'm kind of a bit stuck straight away, but I'm sure I'll get there. So what is the entitlement mindset? It's something that we all have actually, that we should have this and we should have that, and we're entitled to this and we're entitled to that. And do you know, one of the things that I loved Malaysia, if you've been watching my travels on YouTube, Positive Recovery with Corinna, you would have seen that I loved my time in Malaysia. But one of the things I didn't like was the white man entitlement, and that they had a right. And what I really hated was the white men or the white people that felt they had an entitlement to be treated in a certain way. I mean, where does that all come from? It's what we're fed, isn't it? Through society, just through our family. And yeah, but it's not a nice thing, is it, to be entitled, that we have the rights. We all have the same rights. At the end of the day, we're all born naked into this world, and we all go out in our birthday suit, really. We might add a few clothes on, but it doesn't matter how rich we are, how posh we are, how poor we are, how pretty we are. We're all the same. It's all going to end the same for all of us. So why do some of us have this feeling of entitlement? And I think, I don't know, is that what leads some of us to drink? Maybe let's look at entitlement in a different way. You might have been able to tell I was struggling a bit there. So I'm going to look at entitlement from my way. That I felt entitled to fit in, to just fit in, for everyone to accept me as I was in my teenage years. And because I then felt that I didn't fit in and that I wasn't accepted, it led me to start drinking to try and fit in and numb it all out. I mean, that's a kind of entitlement, really, isn't it? That I felt that that everyone should accept me. Well, the reality is we can't get on with everybody. Not everybody's going to accept us. And it's a tough lesson to learn, isn't it? And it's not until we get much older, I guess, that we start to learn this. And with me, it's in sobriety I started to learn it, because I kind of then went through my teenage years, I went through my 20s, my 30s, in my 3 years so far of sobriety. So I'm 3 years sober, but I'm still very, very young. Very young, because I've still got so much learning to do. But it is a bit like being a baby when you get sober, because that first 3 years, when you think of babies when they're born and how much they learn that first 3 years. I mean, I got sober just before my grandson was born, so my sobriety has kind of grown with him. My language has grown at the same time as him, me being able to walk and stand on my own 2 feet, literally, because of some of my disabilities. I was drinking away my neural pathways. Yeah, I've kind of grown alongside with him. So it's very, very early days. But we do have an entitlement that we should be able to fit in with the world, or that the world should fit in with us. Well, that's not the case. And I've been talking to people recently, about mental health stuff and things, and the labels that we give people. And actually, we can think that our minds are really mad because they're chattering away. But we're not really mad. Our minds are doing the right thing. Our minds are doing what they're meant to do, and that is to make sense of this world and who we are within it. And I think we do have entitlements. I think the entitlement we should all have is to be free, to be ourselves, and not have to fit in to these, the round pegs into square holes. Because I've been trying to do that all my life, and I couldn't. I couldn't fit in. And I refer back to Glennon Doyle's Untamed here, with her saying that at the age of 12 she feels that we start to have to fit into a certain way of being, and that's when we start to rebel. But I think it happens right from birth, you know, even from the name we're given. And I'm not going to get into all the different gender things that are going on now, because that kind of blows my mind, to be honest. But we do start putting people in categories, or babies in categories, from the minute they're born, don't we? But really, I think that we should be entitled to be free to be ourselves. But that's not the entitlement we have, is it? We think that we have a right to be this, and we have a right to be that. And we think that we have a right to drink if we want. And then when we get addicted to an addictive substance, we then start to have some self-pity. And we do. Self-pity is a huge thing, actually. But then I'd like to throw in things like remorse and guilt and grief and all those emotions that go, actually, that are also a barrier to our emotional sobriety, because we can get really stuck in a place. It's okay, as I always say, it's okay to go back. It's okay to reflect, but just don't unpack and stay there. It's not a good place to be. And somebody, one of my friends on YouTube and on Instagram, said something really good the other day, and I'm trying to remember what it was. It was something like, we all build fences to protect ourselves, but don't make those fences become defences and keep us trapped and pinned in. I can't remember the exact words, but it's true. Things like self-pity and that stop us growing. Things like guilt stop us from growing. We can feel guilty and we can feel remorse, but we have to work through it. We can't stay there. What's done is done. We cannot go back. We cannot change it. The only thing we can do is live in our now, look at the now, and change our future to where we want it to be. And that is to look at the correct entitlements that we should have, which is the freedom to be ourselves and the freedom to be free from addiction and booze. And I know many people who have many different addictions, who avoid lots of things, and I've always said this is our journey. We have to do what's right for us. I'm quite comfortable around people drinking now, because every cell of my body wants to stay sober, and there is not one cell of my body that wants to drink, which is a really weird thing for me to come to, because for many years, over 22 years, that was my go-to. My go-to was opening a bottle of wine as soon as I got in from work, and much heavier stuff as well. And now the thought of drinking actually makes me want to vomit. But I felt entitled. I'd worked really hard, during my day. I'd had really tough days, and I worked really hard at doing my job. So I was entitled to my drink that I wanted. I now feel that I'm entitled to live. I'm entitled to be sober. So let's look at entitlement maybe in a different way. Let's turn it round on our head. Nobody has done anything to us. We have done everything to ourselves, unless obviously we have been forcibly attacked. There's some traumas, we have our hula hoop that I talk about, or our arm span, our area of control. That is the only area that we have control over. We cannot control other people, only our responses to it. And for many years I responded by drinking. God, and that kept me in prison. It really did. But obviously that this is our personal space, and when people invade that personal space uninvited, we don't like it, and rightly so. That is our area, and nobody has the right to invade that. But some people do, and I understand that. And a lot of you would have had a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse, and suffered quite horrendous things at the hands of others. And it is difficult to move on from that. That is our entitlement, to have our area safe. And when people infringe that, often people who purportedly love us, it's really hard to move forwards. I do get that. 100% I get that. But the way I try and look at it is that if I stay there, if we stay there, if we stay in that abuse, if we stay in that hurt and that turmoil, then our abusers are winning because they still have control. They're still driving our bus. And one of our entitlements is to drive our own bus. And just in case, I had my book here ready because I love the bus analogy, and I'm just gonna quickly read it out to you in case you think, what is she going on about a bus? We've got entitlement to ride a bus. I haven't even got my license. My son is sitting his C class today. Good luck, Jack. Hope you get through. Bus, who's driving yours? Does this idea sound weird? This metaphor really resonated with me during ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy. Imagine our life being a bus and we are the driver. The passengers on the bus are people, thoughts, feelings, beliefs, etc. that we collect in our journey through life and can influence our direction of travel. But one of the profound realizations that I had was that I wasn't driving my bus. Other people were. And because of this, I drank. I made more of a conscious effort to take back the wheel, but it was half-hearted until I quit drinking. Now my hands are firmly on the wheel. Others may try to stop me and even eject me from my seat, but I'm heading in my own direction now and choosing my own route. Who's in control of your bus? Remember, it's only us who can allow others into our driving seat. Our area of control. It is. It's difficult when we're smaller and younger. But as we become adults, it's easier. I watched Shallow Girl the other day, and she was saying that her mum used to say, you've got a brain in your head and feet in your shoes. So it's your choice which direction you take. Easier said than done, I know, for lots of us. Because we've got jabbering minds. But it's only us that stop us getting from where we want to be. It's us that allow others. As I said, there are some separate, there's different situations to that. But when we're looking at the emotional constraints and, the physical constraints, because there are physical constraints, some of us are physically constrained and it's not a nice place to be, but we can get free, and when we do, it's wonderful. And then we physically constrain ourselves with alcohol. We also emotionally constrain ourselves with alcohol or other addictions, other numbing substances. Alcohol isn't the only one. And then we have lots of self-pity. Woe is me. Why did this happen to me? This always happens to me. It's not fair. When am I going to get my break? When's something good going to happen? When am I going to find happiness? Blah, 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 blah. And self-pity really, really does stop us from moving forwards. But again, it's how do we break out of that? Well, again, it's only us. Only we can do something about that. Only we can decide, actually, enough is enough. Yes, it is really shit what happened to me. Yes, it's not good. But it happened. There's nothing I can do to change anything that happened. All I can do now is look at how I acknowledge it now and how I move forwards. And something that just popped into my mind then as I looked at the word self-pity was one of the things that I hear a lot of when people get sober is you hear a lot of self-pity about how partners and others are still drinking. And I think we have to remember that this is our journey, because we can't stop other people. In the same way people can't control us, we can't control others. And people get that self-pity and that fear of missing out because others are still drinking and they think others shouldn't. And I think that's something I wrote about under control. And being I'm talking about control a lot, let's just quickly read control. If I can remember my alphabet. As you know me, I do get mixed up with it, even though I wrote it. I think I just have an aversion to the alphabet now because I had to go over it so much. Control. We all like to be in control. Drugs weren't my thing. I didn't like the thought of taking something, being out of control and not being able to stop it. In my mind, I could stop the amount of alcohol I was drinking and stay in control until I couldn't. In the end, like all addictions, it had complete control over me. Do not be fooled. Alcohol makes us spiral until we lose our grip and control on everything. even our emotions. And in my case, my legs and bodily functions. Once addicted, despite not having control over our own life, we try to control others and everything around us. We recognise this more in sobriety and realise how much we've been resisting in our life and how much angry, anxious and frustrated this has made us. The sooner we accept that we cannot control others, the easier our lives become. Everyone is walking their own path through life. We just need to stick to our side. We cannot change others, only our response. And acceptance has been my key word through most of this. You know, acceptance versus resistance. So we can accept what is, we can accept what's done, we can accept it how it is, or we can resist. And if we resist because we don't want it to be like this and it shouldn't be like this and why is this happening to me, do you know what? It just makes us angry, frustrated, sad, hurt and in pain, and it makes us suffer. And suffering is the opposite of happiness, and we all want to be happy. We look for happiness in the wrong places. We look for it in stuff and things rather than being, rather than focusing on us. And when we do focus on us, we tend to have that self-pity, that woe is me, and that entitlement that we are entitled to a good life. Well, here's the thing. We're not actually entitled to a good life. I do feel that we are entitled to be free, to be ourselves, to find our wild. Back to Glennon Doyle again, her introduction to her book, Untamed, her and her daughter at a zoo. And there's a cheetah that they put a fluffy bunny on the back of a Land Rover or some 4x4, and the cheetah runs after it and it's having fun, and then it goes back in its cage. And Glenn's daughter said that cheetah looks really sad because it's looking outside of the cage, and the keeper said, oh no, it's fine, it was born in captivity, so it knows no different. And Glenn's, you know, this may be the case, but actually she's still looking out for her wild. Her wild is out there. And that's what we need to be, is look for our wild. Not go wild, although it's less likely when we get sober to go wild, I think. But we can go wild in nice ways. And yeah, just try and look at different ways of turn entitlement on its head. Let's turn self-pity on its head as well and change that to some self-care. We can't change what's gone. We can't change any of it. It's happened. We can kind of control the future a bit, but we don't know what's going to happen from one second to the next. We really don't. Like, it could all be over in an instant. That dash, you know, on your gravestone. Andy hasn't got one. I've just got his ashes here, and I'm sprinkling him all over the world. But because I don't really want to give him a dash, because he had a good life. But you know, the date you born, the date you died, there's a dash in between of your life. That dash is your life. Let's go live it. And the first way to start living it is to turn entitlement on its head. Turn self-pity on its head. Let's go have some self-care. Let's go find our freedom today. And as Glennon Doyle will say, then we can stand up and we can go, here I am. And as I would say, and that's okay. We are perfect at being us. And that really is okay. Until next time, not another drop, no matter what. If you're watching this on YouTube, you will see me too. Do please remember to like if you like it, share if you want to, subscribe also if you'd like to see lots more. There's loads on here. Positive Recovery with Corinna, about travels, riding solo. It's all about positive living with disability, sobriety, grief, and my Can-Am Ride podcast and travel. And if you're listening on a podcast platform and you haven't checked out Sobertown Podcast yet, please do go to that, www.sobertownpodcast.com. It's really good. It will change your life. Brilliant community on Facebook, Instagram, and just the website and all forums. I love it. I'll see you there. Take care. Ta-da for now.